Tell me, where would I be? I was lost and sinking deep in sin. But you reach out your hand and rescued me. No one else can do the things you do. Oh God, there's no one else but you. So I say this. Oh no, yeah. Oh no, yeah. Oh no. No one else but you. Oh no, yeah. No trouble, no, yeah. Oh no. No one else but you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Luigi McLean.
Never thought that you could love someone like me, to give up your life for me, yeah. You even go on and call me your very own. So grateful for your love, yeah. No one can do the things you do for me.
To come into the living room,
hey mate,
and starts a suspicious conversation with you for the sole purpose of letting enough time pass before it's okay to ask you for a handful.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. Happy Wednesday. It is a beautiful day today in London. It's been a beautiful day. It still is. And for the first time in a whole year, I have not left my house with a jacket, a scarf, or a cardigan. This is me. So basically, if it's freezing when I leave the studio, I'm just going to be cold. But my apologies for starting the show late today. We had some challenges, but it's all sorted and we're fine. I'm here, my guest is here, and we are good to go. I hope everybody has had a wonderful day and you've enjoyed this beautiful weather. If you are one of the people that say, oh, it's too hot, when it's cold and you're freezing and you're wearing a scarf and you're wearing a coat, you're wearing a jumper, you're wearing your undergarments and you're wearing 5 layers and gloves and boots, you complain. Let's not complain about this weather. I don't want God to take it away from us. I'm enjoying it. I'm loving it. Please don't. I beg. Just enjoy it. Get a fan. Get a fan from Love Polka Dots. At Love Polka Dots, get a fan yourself, get a spritz bottle, spritz yourself, get one of those portable electric fans, something, or a bottle of water, keep hydrated. But please don't say it's too hot. I really want this weather to stay for as long as possible, possibly to December. What do you think, Isaac?
Oh, I think the weather's good. God has blessed us with the weather, good weather.
Are you enjoying it, or are you one of
I'm
the people that says, it's too hot? It's too hot. No.
Not at all. Not
at
all.
Awesome. That's good.
The weather is a blessing to us.
That's good. Well, good evening, and thank you for coming into the studio this evening. I know we're starting a little bit late, but it's fine. You're here. I'm here. We're gonna get ready. We're gonna do this. So, yeah, I appreciate that you've come in. I know you had quite a few things to do today, so I do appreciate it. Before we get into it, would you like to introduce yourself? Just, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself? It doesn't have to be long, just a little something.
Sure.
Your name, maybe how your day's been today, or your week, what you've been up to, and then we'll get into it. Yeah?
Thank you very much. First of all, before I even say anything, I want to thank God. Thank God for my life. Thank God for bringing me this far. And I bless His name for saving my life, for, turning me into a Christian. And I also want to say thank you to all those who helped me to get this far, those who prayed for me, those who encouraged me, supported me spiritually, physically, those who have inspired me and advised me and brought me this far. I'm grateful to all those people. My name is Isaac Benjamin Nyaku. I'm a Christian. I've been a Christian since 2005, and I'm grateful to God that I'm still in the faith. By God's grace, I'm an author. I also do a lot of work in the church. I'm involved in a few charities and a few businesses. I'm also hoping to expand the kingdom work, maybe travel to different countries and spread the good word of the Lord and touch and transform lives all over the world. And I'm grateful that through this platform I can also reach out to whoever is in the world and for them to receive their life, for them to give their life to Christ, and hopefully we'll touch lives and make sure that people give their life to Christ. Thank you very much.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. So how was your day today?
My day has been good. My day has been very good. I woke up very early, and it started off with a friend of mine giving me a phone call, and we prayed for a few hours, encouraging each other. People calling me, asking me to pray for them and, encouraging them, inspiring them. And it's been a good day so far. The weather has been brilliant. I've enjoyed the weather. Mm-hmm. And I hope it stays this way for as long as possible. So we can enjoy the summer.
Me too.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Great. Well, if you've joined us this evening, again, my apologies for the late start, but we are here now. And thank you for joining me. We are live on Facebook at Fire Live TV. We are live on Periscope TV, again, Fire Live Radio on YouTube as well. And you can also get us on Twitter. I'm not on Twitter personally, but you can get us on Twitter. You can also tune in on TuneIn Radio as well. You'll get us on all those platforms. If you would like to call us, the telephone number to the studio, it's 0203 002 8482. That's 0203 002 8482. And if you're calling us on WhatsApp from anywhere in the world, you can get us on +44 203 002 8482. If you're calling from the US, you can get us on 001 312 238 9510. I had to squint just then. My eyesight is not great, but it's getting there. So, may I call you Isaac?
Yes,
actually,
you can.
I don't know. How do people usually refer to you?
You can call me Isaac. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Might drop in a little author.
Feel free.
Here and then.
Feel free.
Okay, so I really obviously when we met like a few weeks ago, and you were with a mutual friend, and he said, yeah, you've been writing, you've got a new book coming out. I was like, yay. I always want people to come on the show. So again, thank you for coming on. You've written how many books now?
3 books.
Wow.
3 books so far.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, to be honest, I've written more than 3 books. I've published 3 books.
Okay, but you've written
I've
more.
written quite a few books. Yeah.
Roughly how many do you think?
About 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
About 10 books.
Okay.
But I've managed to publish 3 books so far.
Okay.
So as we go along, maybe in the next few years, I will, release a few more books. By God's grace, yeah.
Okay. So, roughly, when would you say you started writing? In fact, no. Let me take that back. Why did you start writing? Were you just walking down the road one day and you thought, I might just pick up a pen and paper and start putting down something? What happened for you to just begin writing? Really, was it a journal kind of writing that turned into books, or how did that work?
Well, writing, I began writing from a young age when I was young. It's a gift that I've had since I was young. I used to write, poems. Used to write little stories, and even in my English class when I was in school, I used to do very well. I used to get very good marks in English.
Excellent.
And especially in drama, I used to make up little stories in drama. But that gift sort of died away very quickly as I grew up, as I became a teenager, because obviously I got involved with the wrong crowd, got involved with certain people, so that gift sort of died away. But deep down, it was still in the back of my mind.
All right.
And it wasn't until I became a Christian that God sort of revived that gift. And instead of writing poems for girls or writing poems for this and that, I think
So that's what your poems were.
well, when I was young, yeah. When I was young, but then when I became Christian, that gift sort of came back. But then God sort of took it in a different direction, and that's how I began to write books. But in terms of writing books, it was actually songs that I started writing.
Okay. Anything we've had? Or we might have heard?
Not yet. Okay. We're still in the pipeline, working with a few people. I'm hoping that very soon something will come out and you can hear it. But it was through the songwriting that I began to develop the skill to write books again. Okay. Because sometimes I write a song and then I think, no, that's not enough. I need to write something more. I need to write some more, and before you know it, it turned into books.
Okay.
Yeah.
From songs to a book.
Yeah.
That's a big distance.
Yeah.
But you've done it, obviously. So So that's where you started, from writing poems to girls, and that is your gift. And then when did you decide actually this is going to be a book?
Well,
Because there must have been, had you always hoped that you'll be a published writer one day? Was that your dream as a young man or a little boy? Was that your dream? What was your dream as a child or as a teenager even?
when I was young as a child, because I'm a very artistic person, you know,
Okay.
I'm very, very, very creative. When I was young, I wanted to get into the architecture business. You know, I wanted
Okay.
to design buildings and, you know, build estates and things like that. You know, but the writing was also a bonus. Like I said, I used to write little stories, short stories, poems, and stuff like that. But then my main ambition when I was young is I wanted to get into the design business. You know, design just about anything.
Okay.
So even when I was in college, the course I did involved a lot of designing. You know, sort of contextual design. We did a lot of model making and things like that. You know, but then all that sort of died down when I went to uni. I did design, but after uni, all that died down, and I ended up doing jobs that I didn't want to do. You know, and then when I became Christian was when I actually got those gifts back, and God began to, you know, give me ideas and teach me how to write those books. And it was then that I actually realized I was going to be an author. You know, and even then I didn't think I was going to be, you know, an author straight away, because I was thinking, oh, shall I be an author, or shall I just go and do something else, or, you know, shall I do this? Because I had a clothing business that I wanted to, you know, sort of pursue and keep on it. So, you know, whenever God brought me songs to write, or God brought me books to write, and things like that, I wanted to reject it. You know, so it was actually a time when I was watching TV. I was watching a particular man of God preaching, and he was preaching about the ark, the flood, and the rainbow. But I wasn't happy with what he was saying, because
Oh, okay.
he wasn't going deep enough, you know. He was actually sort of touching the surface and
And not
talking
delving
about
deep enough.
talking about money and all that kind of stuff. And I was thinking to myself, no, you know, I'm not happy with this. I want him to, you know, touch certain points. But then at that moment, then I had a little voice say to me, you know what, why don't you pick up your notebook and write down the points that you think are missing in this teaching?
Okay.
You know, and I went silent. As soon as I heard that, I became very silent, and I concentrated. So
You listened. Okay.
I got my laptop, and then you know, as the man of God was preaching and talking about this and talking about that, I began to write, and I began to sort of elaborate on the points that I thought he wasn't touching on. And before you know it, I had like 3-4 pages
Okay.
of you know,
What should have been talked about?
what I think he should have talked about, because he was focusing too much about money, you know. And I'm thinking to myself, the story of Noah, the ark, the flood, and the rainbow goes
Is
much
it
deeper
really-
than that.
yeah.
You know, talking about money. I mean, put the money aside and, you know,
Let's get
concentrate
deeper.
on the things that are more important, because there are people out there who are broken, who are shattered, who are lost, you know, who are depressed, you know, who are being tormented by the devil and demons, and what they need to hear is something that will deliver them. So I was quite disappointed, you know. But then as I began to write and I put the touches down, God began to fill me with more ideas, you know. But at the same time, I'm also one of those people. I'm very careful what I write. I want to make sure that it's God who's giving me those words. So I'll get a dictionary, I'll get the Bible, and I'll read the Bible scriptures. And if I don't understand any scripture, I'll take it to someone who was more spiritual, and I'll ask questions, or what does this mean? And I'll compare the words in a dictionary, because I want to make sure that when I write a book and the book goes out to the world, I want to make sure that every reader gets something and is transformed.
And they understand also
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
from your point of view,
You know,
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want a reader to look at the book and say, oh, you know what, not another one. Oh, you know, here we go again. I want a reader to pick up my book, read the words, and say, this is something different. This is something that, you know, I can take on board and use it to transform my life. You see what I mean? So,
Yeah.
you know, I always make sure that whatever I say or whatever I write in the book is coming straight from God. So, as I was watching that program, and I was writing. I even stopped watching what the man of God was preaching, and I concentrated on writing.
Wow.
You know,
Okay.
and I'm grateful to God that within maybe like a month or two, I actually had the book written on my laptop. You know, but I still wasn't satisfied because I wanted to make sure that everything fitted well. So I took it to a friend of mine who was also a pastor, but because he was the same age group, he was able to relate, and I showed it to him, and he was like, "Wow, I'm blown away." He's like, "You wrote this?" I'm like, "Yeah." You know, he's like, "Wow, I'm so impressed." But then he said, "Okay, you know what? Put it this way or put it that way. Put it that way." And, you know, he actually helped me to
Gave you some more direction.
yeah, to put things accurately, you know, and I'm grateful because I was finding it difficult to get a publisher because every publisher I sort of went to, they were not interested. Because,
So
you know,
let me just stop you there for a second. Thank you if you've joined us just now. I've got an author, Isaac, in the studio with me this evening. What I did want to ask you, the Ark,
yeah, the flood, and
the
the
Flood
Rainbow,
and the Rainbow was your
my
first
first book.
published
Published
book.
yeah.
So was this actually, because you said that you've written quite a few, but you've only published 3, right? So was this your first attempt at actually writing a book where you had that vision that this is going to be a book, this is where it's going? Was that the first book that you wanted published, or had you done?
In my lifetime, I would say in my lifetime, because I want to go back as into when I was a child. I began to write books when I was a child, but nothing serious. It was just like little stories, you know, little short stories.
So was this the one that, you know, you were basically like, come what may, this is going to be published. People are going to read this. Because you know, when you set out to do certain things, there's some things that you'll pick up and you're like, oh, I'm doing this more for my benefit than anything. And there's stuff that actually sometimes you do and you're like, you know, everybody's got to hear about this. Everybody's got to see this. And then you have a certain determination behind it. So I'm just trying to find out, was this book basically?
The one that I call the book, which is my favorite so far, is The Art of Servanthood Discipleship.
Okay.
That was actually the one that I began to write, but then as I went along, you know, The Ark, the Flood, and the Rainbow came about. You know.
Oh, so you had already started.
Yeah, I already started.
The Art of Servanthood.
Yeah.
Okay, so I tried to get a copy, but it sold out.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome. So can you tell us a little bit about, like, just give us a summary of, because, you know, not all my listeners are Christians, they may not know about, you know, that part of the Bible. So do you want to give us like a little rundown on what your book, what the message is in your book really, and what it's about?
Sure. What, you want to talk about discipleship or?
No, you've got to, we'll break it down into the different books. So if we start with the Ark.
The Ark, the Flood, and the Rainbow.
Sounds like a rhyme of sorts.
Well, it's 3 titles in one. You know, 3 topics in one. The Ark, the Flood, and the Rainbow.
Okay, so take us through it.
Now, with the Ark, when I began to do research, you know, I first did about a few research about Noah's Ark, and you know, how the Ark was created and why the Ark was created, and who the Ark was created for, you know, and reading it, I realized that God was not happy. The reason because God was disappointed with all the evil that was going on in the world, you know. So first of all, it's coming from God's point of view. You know, God was disappointed about something, you know, and when God is disappointed about something, you know, he finds a way of rectifying it. He can choose a person, or he can deal with it himself. You know, so he chose Noah. Yeah, and when he chose Noah, the reason why he chose Noah because he realized that Noah was not doing the things that all the other people were doing. Yeah. So he wanted to use Noah to rectify the situation. So I put myself in it that, okay, right? If God was to choose me to rectify a situation, right? What situation would it be?
Okay.
In Noah's case, God was going to use him to start again. You see, but I put myself in a situation to think, okay, right? If God was going to choose me to solve a situation, what would it be? And then further on, as I got further on, in Noah's case, it was an ark. He built it physically to take people, you know, to rescue people and to rescue animals. You see, but then to explain what the ark means, you know, in everyday life, people have businesses, they have ambitions, they have jobs, they have assignments to do.
Yeah.
And in your case, your ark could be this very show that, you know, God has given you to build, and through that you bring people on board and you are taking people to a destination.
Yeah.
And I pray that it will be the right destination, you know. So in anybody's case, everybody has an ark that they have to build, you know.
Yeah.
And through that they transform people, you know, they take people from one place to another. And then the flood is also the challenges that we go through after we build the ark. Because when you build the ark, remember, the flood is what's going to determine how strong the ark is. You see what I mean?
Okay.
The flood is also something that God used to destroy all the evil. Even though at the same time, God used the flood to also move the ark from one place to another. Yeah? And then the rainbow is after the flood, after the ark has been built, after the flood has come, the rainbow is the aftermath. What happens then?
Okay.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, so when you break it down, that's what the actual book is about. And we can go further on as we go along.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've put your first book that you were writing, well, as an adult, you put it aside because you've heard this message over the TV, and you weren't happy with it, and you decided to do something about it. Put your take to it as to how you understand it. Okay, so as you were writing this book, and in fact all your other books, what did you have challenges? What was your flood?
That's a very good question, and I'm happy you've asked that question because well, it got to a point where I thought my flood was actually going to drown me.
Wow.
You know, man, I love that question.
Okay.
I love that question.
Is it a question that you're comfortable answering?
Oh yes. Oh yeah. I'm very comfortable with asking it, but I want to try and find out which direction to take because it's a very mind-blowing question.
Okay.
Yeah. When I began writing the book, at that time I was a new Christian. You know, I wasn't as strong or I wasn't as wise as I am now. But God still gave me the gift anyway. And when God gave me the gift to start writing books, you know, I had a lot of attacks. You know.
In what way?
It got to a point where my business was going down. My clothing business was going down.
Okay.
And
is this because you had more time spent, you know, trying to get your book all done, or is it just because it's, you know, because sometimes things do just kind of come out of nowhere, and it hits you, so it just okay.
Well, like I said, before I wrote books, when I became Christian, I was in the world. I was a bouncer in nightclubs. I used to work in nightclubs. Used to work in cafe bars. You know, I was involved in a lot of things. You know, things that, you know, could have killed me basically. You know,
Okay.
I could have been 6 feet under. So when I became Christian, God sort of dealt with me straight away. God began to work on me straight away, and it was a bit too much for me to take in the beginning because, you know, when I became Christian, it's like, you know, I went so deep so quickly. You know, I got so close to the pastors. I was in church literally every day. I was in church every day. I was
unknown territory, but thrown deep into it.
I was prayerful. You know, I was getting involved in church activities. So even me, I was a bit shocked. I was thinking, hang on, you know, what's happening?
Is this me?
Yeah, you know, I cut off a lot of my friends because I knew that, you know, if they found out I would become Christian, they'll probably try and, you know, persuade me to go back again. You know, I changed my number because I didn't wanna you know, keep in touch with my old friends because I knew what they were up to. I didn't like what they were getting into.
That's a very strong thing to do. It's very difficult to
Yeah, it was very difficult.
do
but
that. So
yeah,
to
yeah.
cut them off, you obviously
Yeah.
knew what your mission was, so to speak. You
Yeah,
knew what you
yeah,
wanted and
yeah.
how you were going to do it. Okay, so
Naturally, I'm a very disciplined person. I'm very focused. When I put my mind to something, you know, I stay on it. You know, I'm very passionate. So when I decided to cut my friends off, though it was difficult, it came naturally. You know, I cut them off, changed my number, and I remember there were a few incidents where I'll be walking on the street, and some of my friends will see me, and they'll cross the street and walk the other way.
Oh.
You know, it got that bad. So
Okay, carry on.
coming to your question, when I became Christian, I got involved so quickly, so deeply, that when God gave me all these things, it was sort of, it's like nothing else mattered.
Yeah,
I became so focused on writing the books.
you found a new love.
I found a new love, you know, and at that time, like I said, my business was struggling, so
Yeah.
I decided I was gonna, you know, get a job to, you know, help me to fund my business back. And at that time as well, I wanted to get married. I was gonna get married, so I was spending a lot of money, you know, a lot of expenses, putting things together. So I got the job at Walker's Crisps. And Walker's Crisps is, man, 12 hours shifting potatoes. You know, it wasn't easy. It was not easy. Sometimes 7 days a week, sometimes 6 days a week. There were times when I had like maybe a day or two off, but even in those days, I'll try and use it for like overtime or something, or I'll try and use that to sort of you know, work on the business or something like that. So I had no time off, and it got to a point where I broke my back. You
Wow.
know, yeah, I broke my back because, you know, shifting potatoes, you know, like in this position,
Yeah, you bent over. Yeah,
you know,
Wow.
and yeah, it got to a point I broke my back, my spine had twisted as well. So
Oh.
yeah, I ended up in hospital, and then eventually I came back home. And when I came home, I was off work for a little while, and it was around that time when I began to get more ideas to write books. It was very painful and very strange at that time, but now it makes a lot of sense. Now when I think back
Right.
at it, it makes a lot
All
of
of that
sense.
was going on.
God allowed that to happen you know, to get my attention, basically, you know. And at that time when, you know, my back was broken, I felt deserted. I felt like, you know, I didn't have anybody to turn to.
Where was? I mean, you said you were preparing to get married. Sorry.
It's all right. It's okay. It's okay.
This abandonment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Carry on.
I'll come back. I'll come back to that. You
Okay.
finish. You carry on.
Yeah. The marriage didn't work out. It didn't work out because, you know, like I said, I lost a lot of things. A lot of things, you know, went down south. Didn't work. So, you know, it just didn't work out. And I felt disappointed because I've spent all this money, all this attention. I've you know, tried to organize this, trying to buy this and trying to buy that. So it was a bit heartbreaking. But
Of course.
to come back to it, at that time when I was writing the books, I was very broken. You know, I lost all my confidence. You know, because this is me in the world. I was out in the world. I had friends. I had people around me. I become Christian, but then all those people are not there anymore. People that I usually spoke to, you know, confided in, they were not there anymore. And I've become a Christian. I've met new people, new family, but even that family as well. You know, because I'm a new person, I've come into them. It was not very easy for them to sort of, you know,
Let
cling
you into
to
that.
me.
Yeah.
And I also find it difficult to cling to them straight away because
Yeah.
I found it strange that, you know, I become a Christian and God dropped me in a deep end straight away. You know, and I didn't know how to handle that. And also because of the dreams that I was having, I was seeing angels, I was seeing demons, I was seeing so many things, and it was too much for me.
Wow.
You know, and even got to a point when I broke my back, and you know, I was alone a lot of the time. You know, it's like the enemy tried to say to me, you know what, look at what's happened to you. You know, you could have been better off in the world, making more money or doing this, doing that. You know, but now look at you, you're alone. You know, nobody even knows what's going on in your life.
Wow.
You know, and as a human being, when you hear that or when you go through that, you know, it can be painful.
You have
You know?
you have thoughts. You have
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
oh yeah.
you-
It
you
can
have
affect
second
you.
thoughts,
You know,
yeah.
It can be painful because, you know, at that time as well, I was about to lose my house because, you know, as the business went down, you know, I broke my back. I couldn't work. I was not in work for a while. So a lot of things was happening, and it got to a point where I lost the house.
wow.
I lost the house.
All of this happened in a space of how many months or years? Was this years, months?
I'll probably say maybe 2 years.
Wow. Okay.
You know,
that's
2
a
years.
lot.
But it was a very heavy 2 years
Mm.
because within that time, I was still getting to know Christ. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
I was a new Christian. I was very passionate about the gospel, about the work of God. But I was still, you know, one foot was still in the world. You know, I still had my
Yeah.
girlfriends.
Yeah.
I still
Your friends.
kept in I still kept in touch with a couple of friends because, you know, I thought to myself, you know, what if things didn't go well?
Yeah.
You see what I mean? What if it didn't go well? You know, but after 2-3 years, God really began to pull me away from because I was still in two minds. You know, I was still in two minds. God really, after 2-3 years, God really began to pull me away deeper into Christ. You know, and it was difficult at the same time because even with writing the books, you know, I still didn't understand what to write because I was still a baby Christian. I was still learning.
Baby Christian.
Yeah, I'll say baby Christian because I was still getting involved in things that you know I was not supposed to be involved in.
Yeah.
You see, but now I can say I'm an adult Christian because I've come to a point where, you know, I've become stronger in certain things.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
Yeah.
I understand.
And that was the period when I actually began to write the books, and God was giving me more books and songs, and, you know, more poems and more revelations. I mean, it was mind blowing because I was having visitations, you know, from angels.
Wow.
You know, yeah, I was having visitations from angels. Sometimes I'll be walking on the street and somebody will say something, and, you know, I'll be like, hang on, how did he know that?
Yeah.
You know, how did that person know this? Because that person hasn't seen me before. So how did this person know that? So around that time, I began to realize that God was communicating to me through people.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, it was a very tough time, But
You started to see the light.
yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't like it,
But
I
you were
didn't like
seeing it.
But yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It's thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I'm sure you kind of took your mind back to a very difficult time in your life.
Yeah.
But, you know, with that said, it's a testimony
Yeah.
for you,
Yeah.
like you're telling us, and obviously you've come out of that, and other things are happening. Okay, so good evening, Bright, Evangelist Bright
Evangelist
is
Bright.
listening. He said you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
And that your books are great. I've got copies of the books. I've been given copies. So we've got the Art of Servanthood. Is that the second one?
Yeah,
This is the one after the Ark.
Yeah.
The Ark, you couldn't get me the Ark because it's sold out. Very pleased for you.
I'll bring you a personal copy. I'll sign it
Thank
for you
you.
myself.
So this is
Yeah.
discipleship.
Yeah.
We can get into this.
I call this
Before we
one
get to your last
I call
one.
this one my book because
So this is your book.
this one I really took my time and really dealt with it. You know, it's something I relate to.
So, okay, so you've gone through. So, at this point, you've gone through all the hell and back.
Yeah.
In the first one.
Yeah.
And at this one, you're like, yes, I'm ready. I'm equipped.
Yeah.
I'm ready for these challenges. Bring them on. But I'm still gonna write my book.
Yeah.
This is your favorite book. Why is this your favorite book? What is this book about?
This is my favorite book because the title, the main reason why it's my favorite because of the title. I mean, as a Christian, you know, anybody who says that they're Christian that does not serve God, something wrong. You see, the whole purpose of being a Christian is to serve God and to serve others.
Yeah.
When Christ came, he served what? The Father, and also served others. And in serving others, what? He transformed others. He turned evil into good. You see, so that's one of the reasons why it's my favorite. And the second reason why it's my favorite is because during the time when I began to write it, I was going through so many challenges, like the enemy tried to take me back into the world so many times. And every time I write this book, it reminded me where I'm supposed to be, And I remember there was a particular time when I was writing this book, and I spoke to one of my pastors. I said, you know what, God gave me this book to write, and I'll need your help. I need your advice. What does discipleship mean to you? And when he told me what discipleship meant to him, it sort of helped me to stay on track, because at that time I was going to give up on Christ.
Wow.
Even
though you've come through all the rubbish.
I was going to give up because,
okay.
I was losing so many things. I was going through so many challenges, and things were not working out, because I was thinking to myself, hang on, I've become Christian. I've given my life to Christ. I'm supposed to be going forward. I'm supposed to be happy. I'm supposed to be, rejoicing. Things were supposed to be going well for me, but then all these challenges came about, and I was ready to, pack it in and go back into the world,
because that seemed like the easy option at the time.
It seemed like the easiest option. But I thank God, because God used certain people to keep me on track.
And I'm sure it's also your tenacity as well. Like, sometimes you have a good thing, and in your heart that in the end actually it'll work out. But it's just the journey to get to the end can sometimes seem like a tightrope, because it's so difficult.
Yeah.
But like you said, you're quite a determined person, and once you set your mind on something, and
it was amazing that at that time I had a dream, and that dream was sort of the dream that sort of sort of slowly pulled me back into Christ. It was two dreams in one.
Okay, right? Care to share?
Yeah, of course.
Please do.
The first one, I think it was about 3 o'clock in the morning. I woke up, went to the toilet, and I came back and I went to sleep. And straight away I fell into a deep sleep, and I saw this angel wearing red. He had red like from top to bottom.
Different attire to what we usually
red
hear of.
And he was stood on like a platform, some sort of like a concrete platform, and he was demonstrating all these martial arts skills, all this somersaults, and it was amazing, and he had a sword, and it was amazing. I was thinking to myself, hang on, what is this? And from there, it went on to a different scene.
Okay.
And when it went on to a different scene, I saw myself stood on that same platform. Right. There was one
angel. As the red-robed angel was on. Okay.
He went. That scene disappeared, and then the next scene, I saw myself stood on this same platform. And
what were you wearing?
I don't remember.
It wasn't a red robe.
No, it wasn't a red robe.
Okay, carry on. Sorry.
And to my left, there was this angel dangling to my left, quite high up.
Okay.
And there was another angel stood in front of me, talking to me. I don't remember what they were saying. But that angel that was stood in front of me, he was huge. When I say huge, I mean huge, quite scary.
Okay.
He was all white like light. He was talking to me. But then this other angel also dangling, but he was more like a warrior angel. He was dressed more like a warrior angel, and But then that scene went past. So I thought to myself, I don't know, what kind of dream is this, So in the morning, at that time we were going to go and clean the church. So in the morning, there's a brother of mine. I'll mention his name, brother Michael J.M. Poffel. He was like my twin brother. He was always there for me. He's always been there for me. When things were tough, he was the kind of person to stand with me, to pray with me, to comfort me, to let me know, what, brother, look, he's gonna be okay. I've been there before. I know what it's like. You can make it. You can do it. And he was a brother to me. And I remember, I went to his house that morning and I told him about the dream. I said, look, this is what's happening. I mean, what do you think it is? He said, look, man, you're lucky. You're blessed, because for you to have dreams about angels, then it means that you're special. That means God has something special for you. Okay. And from the conversation that we had, that was what sort of slowly brought me back, because at that point I was ready to go back into the world. I had enough, you know. So it was through him. God spoke through him. God used him to encourage me to keep myself back on track, you know. And yeah, it was strange as well, because I was thinking to myself, you know, I've become a Christian. You know, I'm supposed to have Christians around me who are going to love me, who are going to help me to become stronger, pray with me and stuff like that. But then,
that's the idea.
What I saw was actually the opposite. You see what I mean? It was the opposite. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful for that brother. And there was an auntie as well, Mamisi Arthur. I'll mention the name. I mention the name for a reason, because she reminded me of my mum. She was so strong, so powerful, so tough. She encouraged me. You know when things are not going well, and you say, you know what, look, I don't like what's happening.
Done. Yeah.
She's the type of person, regardless of what she's going through, she'll snap you out of it. She'll be like, listen, you know, you can do it. You know, it's happened before, and you're still alive, so you can do it. Yeah. So, I mean, and she's actually one of the first people who came to visit me at the hospital when I was having an issue
with your back.
You know, she like as soon as she heard about it, straight away she was there, brought me food. You know, are they looking after you? Like, you know,
like you Ghanaian jollof, yeah,
and fufu as well. Hey. You know, she really looked after me. She and her husband as well. You know, Uncle Arthur. You know, I will never forget him. You know, they were the mum and dad to me. You know, empowered me, sort of, inspired me, encouraged me, you know, and they won't let anybody talk about me either, you know, and that's what I admire about them. Anybody who came to complain about me to them, they shut the person down, you know.
One time.
Oh yeah, and that's what I like, you know, and that's what kept me going. That's what kept me going. It sort of made me feel like, okay, you know what, at least there's hope.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, and that's what kept me going, you know. So, coming to the book, it was around that time when I was writing the book. So, all that situation gave me a bit of insight and a bit of encouragement to, you know, to write about discipleship. And God gave me the idea about soldiers. You know, He said, you know what, look at how soldiers behave. Look at the discipline. Look at the challenges they go through. And as a Christian, because you're a soldier for Christ, you have to understand that there are challenges that you're going to go through, because God wants to make you a soldier for His kingdom, right? You cannot be a soldier for Christ if you don't go through challenges, you know, and you cannot be a soldier if you don't go through challenges. You know, it's not just about carrying a gun or, you know, marching. Soldiers go through hell. They go through hell, and you know, when they go through hell, they are turning into two things. They are turning into experienced warriors, and they are also turning into humble people. You see what I mean? So God gave me the idea that, you know, discipleship is all about becoming a warrior for Christ, and also becoming a humble servant of God. You see? And he gave me an idea as, okay, you know what, look at the disciples. You know, look at Peter, look at you know, Matthew and all those people. They all had their lives. They all had, you know, their you know, businesses and stuff like that. But when they became followers of Christ, Christ gave them something, you know, that they had to take on board. It's either you follow me and take up your cross, or you don't. And taking up the cross means you're going to have challenges. You see what I mean? You're going to have challenges, and when you have those challenges, those are actually the challenges that are going to shape you to becoming a better Christian. And when you become a better Christian, make sure you use your challenges, or, you know, what you've learned in Christ to transform other people. And that's what discipleship is all about. You see what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Your dream was very interesting. I'm fascinated with the fact that you remember the red robe.
I never forget it.
But not what you were wearing.
I don't remember now.
It's fine. I just want to send a shout out to Bright. Hello, Cuba. Thank you for joining us. Hi, Amma. Amma's watching us from Ghana. And so is Nia Shrifi is also watching from Ghana. Hi, Fitz. Good evening. Hi, Karantama. Hi, Auntie Jane. Everybody that's watching. Hi, sis. My sister's watching as well. Okay. So, hi, Sandra. If the whole family is watching, hi guys. I think my mum's logged on. So good evening to you all. And welcome to the platform with me, Mama Sewa, and also this evening with author Isaac Benjamin Nyako, who's taken us through his published books and basically his life, his challenges, the things he's had to give up, what's made him stronger, especially in his faith. And so the story goes on. So you've got your favorite book.
Yeah.
Is out, and I don't know how it works with authors. Do you have to chase down a publisher, or do you kind of put out there, I'm writing a book, who wants to publish me? How did that work?
In the beginning, it can be very challenging because you're going to have to chase publishers, and that's what I had to do. But I'm grateful because, like I said, I was going to get married in the beginning, and things didn't work out. And it was actually my ex fiance, who I was at home one day, and she called me. In fact, I didn't want to answer the phone, but for some reason I did. I did, and when I answered the call, she said, "You know what? I heard that you broke your back. Are you okay?" and things like that. And I said, "Yeah." She goes, "You know what? I used to write in your book." I said, "Yeah, I finished it." She goes, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, I finished 2 books, but I was contemplating on which one to publish." And she said, "Well, she's published a book as well." She said, "You know what? I've spoke to the publishers, and they want to take you on board. Are you interested?"
Wow.
And I was shocked. I was like, "What? What's going on?"
Why are you doing this with me?
Yeah. And she said, "Look, yeah, I'm serious about it." And she even sent me a link to her new book, which she also published with them. So she said, "Look, you know what? I spoke to them. I told them about you, and they are Christians. They're also Bible teachers, and they will help you out."
Wow.
And so I said, "Well, okay, yeah, why not?" So to cut the story short, I rang them, and because at that time I'd given my book to about 6 different publishers, and they all turned me down.
Okay.
They turned me down. So I was almost giving up then. And then when I had a phone call, so I called them, and I spoke to them, and they said, "You know what? Okay, send us your manuscript." And when I sent them the manuscript, within a week they got back to me, and they said, "You know what? We love your book."
Wow.
They were actually so amazed by the book.
Great feedback.
And that was a turnaround for me, because I was almost about to give it up. I was about to, throw in the towel. And then when they actually gave me the feedback, they was like, "You know what? This is what we're looking for." They actually said, "This is exactly what we're looking for, and this is what the world needs. This is what the unbelievers need to hear."
Wow.
So because they're Christians, they're Bible teachers, they help me out in terms of with the editing, how to put the things right, how to put the words right, which scriptures to use, and things like that. And in the end, when I was ready to publish the book, that was when I lost my house, and I came back to London, which was another story. It was actually, I even got to the point where I even told them, "You know what? I don't think I want to publish the book," because I was getting cold feet. I was thinking, "Oh, you know what? It's not going to work," But then they kept encouraging me. They said, "You know what? We believe the book is going to work." They said, "You know what? Trust us. We're not going to lie to you.
We know what we're doing.
We have prayed about it. We've prayed to God about it. God is happy with it." And I was thinking, hang on, is God really happy with it? When you get to that point where, because everything is going wrong, nothing's going well, and then someone comes and tells you that, God loves you, God is happy with you, and you're thinking to yourself, what are you talking about? So eventually, in 2011, 11th of November 2011, the book was published. And it's amazing. On the 11th of November, on the 11th month
of the 11th day
of 2011,
the
book was published.
11/11/11.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was an important day for people who were getting married, and you were getting your book published.
Yeah.
Awesome. Equally important.
Yeah. And that was amazing, because that day I actually wrote the date down. I wrote it down, and I said, "You know what? Thank you, Lord, because all that palaver that went on, everything that went on, losing my house, coming back to my mother's house, and it was getting to me." And then when the book came out, I actually had a copy of the book in my hand, and I showed it to my brother, and was like, "Wow!" And he was like, "You've written a book? How did this happen? When did this happen?" And having the book in my hand, I was almost in tears, and the date, 11/11/11,
Yeah.
that was significant. And since then, I thought to myself, okay, you know what, right? The book is out. Then that's an opportunity for me to write another book. I mean, I was still distraught. I was still broken. Lost all my confidence because I lost my house, lost my business. I couldn't get married. I couldn't do this. I couldn't do that. So I felt like, a kid again, back in my mother's house, having to learn. It was embarrassing. I was broken. I was shattered. But then having the book in my hand made me realize that, okay, you've done it. You've come this far. You've been able to do it. You can do it again. So I began to encourage myself. I began to talk to myself. It wasn't straightforward, but I began to talk to myself, encourage myself, and here I am.
Here you are.
Yeah, by God's grace.
It's a great story. It's wonderful. Who's your publishing house
My publishing house
for that particular book?
for all the books actually is Jesus Joy Publishing. They're
Okay.
based in Stoke. Yeah, and it's run by Dr. Michael Cornelius
Okay.
and Dr. Carla Cornelius. They've been very, very wonderful to me. They've been very supportive. They've helped me out. They've become mentors actually in my life. I remember there are times when I get a bit confused about certain things. I call them up and they're always there for me to encourage me to to advise me and to point me in the right direction. So I'm grateful for them. Thank God for their lives. Yeah.
Amen to that. Wow, I was going to ask you how you felt when you had your first book published and it was right there in front of you, what your feelings were.
Yeah.
But I think you've answered. Did you cry? Did you have more than a tear in your eye?
Yes, I
You
did.
can
Yeah,
tell us.
yeah. I'll say it. No, I'll be humble. I shed a tear because it made me realize that after all that I was going through, God knew what He was doing. God knew what He was doing, and I also thought to myself, God is actually using me to touch people all over the world. Why me?
Yeah.
I'm just a simple man, and also thinking to myself, upon all the things that I've done in the world,
Yeah.
all the bad things I did, God still had mercy on me, pick me up from the world, cleanse me, and now is using me to, turn bad people into good people. So I couldn't believe it. So when I had the book in my hand, I was in tears. I was thinking to myself, well, God must definitely love me because people were telling me, what, God loves you, God is happy with you, God is pleased with the book, carry on. And I didn't believe it at that time because of all the things I was going through. So finally, when I had the book in my hand, I said, yeah, maybe everything that I heard was true. God definitely loves me. So it was very emotional. In fact, for about a whole week, I was a bit what do you call it, perplexed. I was thinking, wow,
Is it me?
finally the book
Was that me?
the book has come. I looked at my picture at the back of the book. I was like, wow, it's actually happening.
So let me ask you about the picture
Yeah,
then, since you brought it up. Who picked the picture?
I did.
You did?
I did. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
was it a difficult decision? Or was it one just like, okay, let me just...
Well, I was talking to the publishers about choosing the picture, and I gave them a few pictures, and they said, you know what, right? The picture, you're smiling. Actually, in the first book, you're smiling. You have a suit on, and I think people are going to relate to that more, And if you put that bit at the back of your book, because it's a Christian book, and it's a book that's going to transform people. If you put that at the back of the book, it's gonna look even more better. It's gonna look better. It's gonna, it's gonna give people it looks more welcoming. So I said, okay, I'll use that picture. I didn't like it. But in the end, I chose the picture. And it's amazing that everybody else who's seen the picture seems to like it. So, I'm grateful for that. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to read
Yeah.
what the back of the book says. Because you've told us a little bit about it, but obviously some people haven't. So do you want to read it or shall I read it?
You can read it. Read it.
Okay, so it says about the book. If you hold up a glass under a tap and a tap yields only drops of water, the glass will eventually become full.
Yeah.
Because of the weight, you will cherish it more. If the tap rapidly runs full of water, then there is a possibility that it could overflow over the glass too quickly and go to waste. The reason for this is that if the tap runs at an appropriate speed, then the flow of water can be monitored. This also means that impurities in the water can be spotted and removed in time. If the water runs too fast, then it will be difficult to monitor and control. When something is out of control, it often leaves little room for improvement, especially when it happens without warning. Likewise, Pharaoh's dream was like looking through the glass of water because he saw the catastrophe. I'm Ghanaian, you guys have to allow me, in advance.
Yeah.
And through Joseph's advice, he was able to keep things under control. This helped the nation of Egypt to live in peace and abundance during the occurrence of the Great Famine. It is imperative to keep track of and control the flow of issues in your life. Learn to identify what is pertinent and what is not. The unwanted crumbs in your life may one day be your most precious treasure. And at the bottom it says, in his first book, The Ark, the Flood and the Rainbow, Isaac gave us a deep insight into the significance of God's relationship with Noah and the rest of the world. This time, Isaac is leading us into the relevance of genuine Christian conduct and true leadership. This dynamic man of God dares to challenge the ways of the world with the doctrines of Jesus Christ, so that we will capture the importance of God's principles and the powerful legacy that Christ left behind. The Art of Servanthood, Part 1, Discipleship, has the potential to lead you out of darkness of the world and into God's marvelous light. God bless you. This is the book you've given us.
Yeah.
So it says part 1.
Yeah.
Does that mean there's a part 2 around the corner?
Yes, part 2. When I wrote this book, it was actually a big book full of many topics.
Okay.
And talking to the publishers, they actually advised me. They said, you know what, this book is so amazing, right? You need to chop it up into pieces, right? Because if you put all the information in one book, people will get fed up and they might not even take you seriously. So if you chop it up, so I've actually got about three different parts to this book.
Have you started writing them?
I finished them already.
Okay.
I finished them already, but I'm one of those people. I like to wait on God because, if I go my own way and publish it, it might not be significant. So I always want to wait on God and see when God is ready for me to publish the next one. But the next one is a progression from the first one, discipleship. What happens next? When you become a Christian, you become a disciple.
Okay.
God gives you the ability or the equipment to sort of win souls for Christ. What happens next as a Christian? What is the next level to go on to? So that's what I'll talk about in the next part.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how well has this book been received? I know your publishers really loved it.
Yeah.
They said it's definitely what they needed, and they predicted that people would love it. Have they? What kind of feedback have you had from both books? In fact,
I had very good feedback. Very positive feedback. The first one, like I said, is sold out.
Yeah,
it's sold out. People really took on board, and gave me some good feedback that they've learned a lot from it.
So will you be, publishing more? Like, are you going to do more copies?
Oh yeah.
Because if it's sold out.
Yeah. There's more there's more copies being printed as we speak.
Okay.
So hopefully end of July, August, other copies will be ready. Yeah. And in terms of with the second book, Discipleship, that's the book that I had a lot of it created a lot of attention basically. That's the sort of book that took me out there into the world, and people got to know my name. And I've actually had feedback from India, from Pakistan, from Australia. I've had feedback from America, from Canada, from Ghana, some positive feedback. In fact, there's a lady in our church whose brother is a pastor in Ghana, and she said she mentioned the book to him, and he asked for a copy. So I gave her a copy, I signed it to her, and she actually sent the book to him. And when he read the book, his feedback was that's what he needed.
Wow. And that's, of course, what you want people to say. That's how you want them to feel about your book.
And that really encouraged me, because for a pastor to say that, that was something to really take on board. So it's a very good book, because even me, every time I read the book, I get transformed. I become a new person. You know, yeah.
How who inspires you? Who or what inspires you? I know that God plays a very huge, massive role, but
Yeah.
you know, aside of God, aside of Jesus Christ, who inspires you? What inspires you? What makes you just want to carry on? Like, I know you've talked about inspiring people, and hopefully that the books will make a difference in people's lives. But who or what is your inspiration? Like, just also in your daily life, what inspires you?
Well, that's a very good question.
Thank you.
I'm one of those people. There's a few things that inspire me, and I get inspired by new things every day. If you see what I mean, you know,
Yeah.
most people have one particular thing that inspires them all the time. But I'm one of those people. You know, there are certain things that come into my life. You know, as we go along, that inspires me. Shall I carry on? Yeah. Apart from Christ. Apart from
Your auntie.
yeah, Mamiesi and Stacey Arthur. She has been a pillar in my life. You know, her prayer life. I mean, when I became a Christian, learning to pray was a bit strange. Learning to pray it didn't come to me automatically. You know, I had to learn to pray, and there were certain people that I looked at. I watched how they prayed and watched how they put words together, and she was one of those people that, you know, I looked at to learn how to pray. And she can pray for hours. She can you know, stand there and pray for hours, and she's one of the people that also inspired me. Like I said, Michael Ejeampofu, I'll mention his name again. His character, his humility, you know, he's always smiling. He's always the kind of person to, you know, diffuse a situation. He's the kind of person to, you know, show kindness. And coming from the world and looking at him, you know, I learned from him, because he's the type of person. He was very humble. You know, he go into a place and put a smile on everybody's face. You know, when he sees someone struggling, he'll help the person out. So he was the kind of person to inspire me in that way, to point me in the right direction. You know, like whenever I did something wrong, he'd be like, you know what, Isaac, don't do that. Don't do this, because, you know, when you do that, you know what's going to happen. And
Keeps you on a straight and narrow.
and I was happy to have him in my life, you know, because he kept me from a lot of things. You know what I mean? He kept me from going back into the world, and he kept me from doing things that I was not supposed to do. Another person that inspires me is my father.
Okay.
My father is he's an old soldier, you know, so he still has that discipline, that courage, that sort of focus, that sharpness. You know, he's not very talkative, but when he talks, you know, he lets you know that he has spoken.
Is wise. He's a wise man.
Yeah. You know, my mother is someone also who inspires me, in terms of, you know, she doesn't give up easily. My mom is a sort of person, you know, put it this way, put my mom in a boxing ring, right?
Come out fighting.
Yeah. she'll win.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's how I was raised. I was raised to, you know, be humble, you know, don't go looking for trouble, but when trouble comes to you, deal with it.
Yeah.
Don't run away from it, you know. And that's where I get my inspiration from. Like, there are times when I go through a challenge, and I remember when I was young, and, you know, how my mom dealt with it, or how my dad dealt with it, and I'd be like, okay, if your mom and dad did it, you can do it.
Yeah.
You know. And coming along, there's a few people that I met along the way when I became Christian. There's a few people that I met who I see as inspiration. You're one of those people. I'll be honest with you.
Ooh.
I'll be honest with you, and I'm not just saying this. I'm not just saying this, you know, just impress you. But I remember when I was walking with Brother Bright, and we met you, and you mentioned about, you know, your polka dots business. You know, because like I said, I had a clothing business, I had a design business some years ago, and I've been trying to get it back. You know, it's like sometimes I'll be like, let me put it aside, or let me get it back again, or, you know, maybe it's not the right time, or maybe should I just, you know. And then there were a few people who I've met, you know, within the last few months, that sort of, you know, yeah, you can do it. You know, we're going to help you. You know, we you know, we're ready. Whenever you're ready, just call us, and we can support you. And I remember me and Brother Bright was walking in the park and we met you and you mentioned about your polka dots and stuff like that and the things you said. Even yesterday I texted you about some of the, so I was like, yeah, you know, this lady is doing something that I want to do, and when I see the stuff that you've done, that's to me is like, okay, maybe God is telling me, oh yeah, you get back on it, you can do it.
Yeah.
You know, and I remember when we spoke to you at the park, you mentioned about this program to us and stuff like that, and that inspired me because, you know, there's a lot of people out there who have got the same gift or the same talent, but they don't want to use it. And if you have got that gift and you're using it, you know, I respect you for that because it's something that God has given you and you're not putting it to waste. You see what I mean? Yeah, and there are some people that, you know, inspire me. Brother Bryce inspires me. Brother Bryce Adade. Man,
he was on the show a few weeks ago, as you know.
Brother Bedford, Brother Bedford of Fosu as well. And the reason why I'm saying this is because I went through a challenge recently. Very, very, very sensitive challenge. Very strong challenge.
I won't ask you about it.
It's okay.
But you're free to share if you want to.
And you know, they decided. The two of them decided that, you know what, now we're not going to let you go. We're going to stand with you. We're going to take you through this. We're going to make sure that you come out this challenge because you know we know what it's like.
Yeah.
You know, and we speak at least every day. We speak, we pray with each other, and you know, through their influence and through their support and through their love, and you know, I'm becoming a different person.
That's
you
awesome.
know, yeah, because the past 2 years I went through a phase where I was losing my temper a lot. You know, I was getting, you know, I was
angry
at, you know, the smallest things and things like that. You know, and meeting them and, you know, their humility and, you know, their support. I'm thinking to myself, hang on, I'm changing. I'm becoming Isaac again. You know, and I'm grateful to them. I'm grateful to them because I've met people in my lifetime. I've met, you know, Christians as I became a Christian, but you know, I'm now beginning to. I feel like I'm now beginning to meet real Christians. You know, the true worshippers. You know, I met Christians in the past before, but you know, I'm thinking to myself, nah. You know, these are the true men of God, the ones that, you know, are doing the work of God. You know, sort of, you know, righteously, not wishy-washy. You know, I'm grateful to their lives. I thank them, and strangely enough, I also inspire myself. You know,
you have to.
Yeah, I'm one of those people. You know, every morning, what I do every morning. This is a secret, by the way. I'm gonna share it to the world.
Oh, get your pens and papers out.
Every morning when I wake up, you know, regardless, I get on my knees. The first thing, I get on my knees. You know, and I talk to God. I talk to God, and sometimes I may have a bad day the day before, and I go to bed, and then when I wake up in the morning, I say to God, you know what, right? You know what I went through yesterday or what I went through this week.
You're not doing it again.
Do something now, because when I step out of the house, I want to step out of the house without that thing, and guaranteed every time it works. Every time it works. Every time I speak to God every morning.
I absolutely believe you. I've gotten to, I think over the last maybe year, more this year, the way I pray has changed. And I've always prayed as a conversation with God. And sometimes I may answer myself, but it's very much of, look, today we're doing this. I know you're the only one that's going to do it for me. Let's go, let's do it. And a few weeks ago I was saying to my brother-in-law that actually, do you know what God does? You know, sometimes we say things or we ask for things and we think, it's just another one that you're asking, and he does it. And it can be very simple little things like I'm very good at so waking up early in the morning, you know, I pray, I have my little quiet time whilst I'm still in bed, and then I'll stay in bed a little bit longer. So I'm very good at last minute, and then I'm running and I'm rushing. I'm like, oh God, please, you know, I need to get to work on time today. Delayed the train 2 minutes. And it's so like they're on
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
If I say, God, please, I need 4 minutes,
Yeah.
I'm guaranteed that the train is 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Like literally 9 out of 10
Yeah, it
times.
happens, yeah.
And then so my brother-in-law said to me, so what about everybody else that's trying to get to work? How dare you? And if I'm lying, I mean, he will say.
Yeah.
But yeah, I literally say, please, I need 2 more minutes.
Yeah.
Don't let the train go. And it is. And you know, the days I don't ask for it.
Yeah. You don't
Or
get it.
I get out of bed like too early and I don't, like I'm rushing, so I don't really have my little quiet time.
Yeah.
My train leaves me
Yeah.
and I'm late.
Yeah.
But it's just other things as well. It's just like little things. There'll be times
Yeah.
where like, you know what, I really need this, or God, I'm going through for this job.
Yeah.
You know, just like lead me. Is this the job for me?
Yeah.
And you know, when I get in there, I know there's jobs where they've given it to me and I've said, you know what, I actually don't want this job because it just doesn't. I feel like I don't know. My sense is there, and then afterwards, by whatever means, I hear why actually I didn't. You know, there'll be maybe somebody that worked there, like actually that wouldn't have been. Or there's the jobs when I go, it's like I'm probably not qualified for this, but please, I want it because you know I will work hard in it and I'll do it.
Yeah.
And I get it, and you know, there's the times where, you really think, this is it, but God knows that's not the one. And you know, when you were saying about you went through like a lot of difficult things and things happen, and it's true. And I think it's God's way of just because we don't listen. Yeah, I swear, Dean, we do not listen. Like, you know that this is not what you want. This is not for you, but sometimes we're doing it because we do need to get some money in, but that's just not you. And I think God is very good at, okay, if you won't listen, you'll have to feel for a little bit.
Yeah.
But when you feel, you'll appreciate it when you go to where you're actually supposed to be. So I'm slowly learning that. Sometimes I quickly learn, but I'm slowly learning that. So yeah, I understand.
You know, thank you for saying that. You know, because I hope there's a lot of you know, people listening to what you just said now. You know, because you know, when I became Christian, I realized that God could have allowed us to be killed any time.
Yeah.
You know, God could have allowed the devil to kill us at any point in time. But you know, becoming a Christian made me realize how much God loved me, how much God protected me. Because sometimes I'll be thinking to myself, hang on, I remember on this particular day, on that particular day, on this particular time, this happened, and that could have killed me. It didn't. Oh, this particular moment, I remember I was walking with that person, and this happened, and you know, and it made me more humble. It made me realize that God protected me all along, because He knew what He was going to use me to do.
Yeah.
And now I've come to a point where I'm always advising people. You know, even when I was young, my nickname was Duke. They called me Duke because you know, I was sort of the person that people came to for advice. You know,
Okay.
you know,
The wise one. Okay.
well,
Ooh, we're getting a call.
I wasn't as wise as
1 second. We got a call.
You got a call, okay?
Yeah, hello, caller. Hello. Hello. Hello, caller. Hello. Hello. Are you there? I have these things. Okay, I know what's up. Hello, caller. Hello. They might have forgotten the phone.
I've forgotten it. Yeah.
Okay, no, they're coming back.
They're coming
Hello,
back.
caller. Hello. Good evening.
Hello, good evening, Ma'am Mr.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm doing great. By the grace of the Almighty God.
Oh,
Doing a great program, family. You guys are you're doing a great job.
thank you.
You're taking
I'm just trying to sort this so it's a bit. Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Do you want to put your mic on? Yeah. I can just about hear you, but I think that's my fault. But I can hear you. Who am I speaking with?
Yeah, hi. Good evening. This is Brother Bright speaking. Bright.
Hello, Brother Bright. How are you?
Um, yeah, I'm blessed by the grace of the Almighty God. I'm doing great.
Oh, thank
Yeah,
God.
I've been enjoying your show. Great questions.
That's good.
Everything's spot on.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
just
Thank
commenting
you.
along, and Brother Isaac as well. Answering the questions and in very. I've just been very inspired. That he's sharing such a testimony and the grace that he's given upon him to write all these books. Well done as well, brother. To share your message and what is actually motivating you to do so. One of my favorite books I actually like. That I think he recently wrote. The Test and the Victory.
Yeah, we're about to
And
get into that. We're going to get into that in a
I
minute.
wanted to ask a question. Yeah, I wanted to ask a question because there's a part he has a written bit, and it's just so amazing. Maybe when he gets to that part, he'll be able to explain. Is the lion, the dog,
The dog,
and I
the
think
wolf.
you know what I'm talking
The
about.
wolf and the crocodile.
And the
Okay.
wolf and the crocodile.
Yeah.
And I think in that part of the book, it's one of the most. I mean, I've studied theology for my degree, and I've read a lot of books, but that part is one of the part that really touched me, and it's a part that really spoke to me in volumes. And I wanted to know what was his idea and his mindset, and what inspired him to write about that in that verse itself, that chapter.
Okay. Well,
And
yeah.
and another thing I wanted to ask is maybe perhaps I wanted to know if he's I know he's talking about having visions and seeing angels and stuff, and I want to know if he had an encounter of meeting the Lord, and maybe if you wanted to share a bit about that. Yeah, but God bless you, people.
Thank you, Bright. Thank you for
Thank you,
calling.
sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right.
Yeah.
Right. So we will get into that
Okay.
actually. So time is beating us, but I mean technically we've got time. We've got a
can
bit
do
of
it.
time.
We can do it.
So we can do it.
Nice one.
So yeah, actually let's go back to the test. So this is your new book.
Yeah, my latest book.
Has it just been published
I published it in May.
in May? So it's
May.
very new. It's
Yeah,
still a baby.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So it's called The Test
And the victory.
and the Victory, and at the bottom it says every trial yields a pass
Or a fail.
or fail. That's true. I don't know if you guys can see this. The light is not great. I think
Yeah,
that
I
works.
think that's good. They
Is
can
that
see
good?
that way. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's this is the book.
The
This
Test
is the
and the
cover. We're going to talk about the picture at the back later. But tell us a little bit about your book.
Well, this book. Should I put the earphones on?
I think Bright, are you still on?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I am. I'm still.
Okay, he's still
Okay.
on. Okay.
Okay. Well, this book is something that every time I look at it, I get more humble because when I get feedback from people, they actually tell me that when I read this book, it helped me to become stronger. It helped me to come out of a challenge. And I remember I gave it to a particular person who was actually going through a situation with a marriage. And when she read the book, she said, when I read the book, I got the answer for my marriage, and things are going better now.
Wow.
And I was shocked. I was shocked when she said, yeah. When I read the book, she said I'm not going to tell you, but there's a particular part in this book that when I read it, I actually got the answer I was looking for, and now my marriage is beginning to get fixed again. So every time I pick up this book and I read it, I get inspired. I get more humble. It makes me realize that at least God has, chosen me for something amazing, and I have to cherish it. And then coming back to Brother Bright's question, the bit about the dog.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
We'll go there in a second. It just because obviously,
Yeah.
Brother Bright's got an advantage over us common people because we've not read his book yet. But you need to take us through it in stages.
Yeah.
Auntie Jane's asked, where can we get copies of the book, please? Can we get signed copies? I can definitely hook you up with signed copies from the man
Yeah.
himself here, but I will tell you, or he will tell you, how you can get copies very soon. So I mean, I can see what it says at the back. Do you want to tell us a little bit about this whole book? What is the summary of your book? or do you want this read? How do you want to?
You can read a piece of it if you want to give people a bit of insight. But I'll give you a quick sort of lowdown of as in what's about. I used David and Saul to sort of pinpoint the whole story about this book. It's about basically, as a Christian or as a child of God, you know, the things that you go through in order for you to become the person you're supposed to be, or the journey you take to get to where you're supposed to be, or you know, the lessons or the experiences that you gain before you actually, you know, step into your destiny. And there's many people who fail to fulfill their destinies because they fail, because they don't realize that they've been tested. You know, and I'll use King Saul as an example. That, you know, King Saul was given an opportunity to become the first king of Israel, the first king of the greatest nation in the world, right? And because of his pride and because of his own, you know, human antics, he failed. He didn't listen to God. He didn't obey God. He didn't see God's face. As a result, he failed. So King Saul represents the flesh. Whenever you do anything in the flesh, or whenever you do the work of God in the flesh, you are going to fail. You're going to be broken down, regardless of who you are. You can be the archbishop of whatever. As long as you're doing the work of God in the flesh, you're not going to succeed. But then David, on the other hand, right? David, who was chosen by God to also be the king of Israel, though he was a second king of Israel, he was seen as the first king of Israel. But as you read the book, you will understand that. David, though David made a mistake, because David was in the spirit, David was constantly doing the will of God. Even when he made a mistake, he went straight back to God. God, I made a mistake, you know. And because of that, God passed him. God gave him a pass.
Yeah.
And when you look at it now, David, the name of David, even if people all over the world name their children David. There's only few people who name their children Saul. There's a reason. You see what I mean? It's significant.
Yeah.
It's spiritual.
Yeah.
You know. So as a Christian, you know, you have to understand that every day you are going to go through a test, and the reason for the test is because God has something for you. And in order for you to receive that thing, or in order for you to work for that thing, or for that thing to work for you properly, you have to go through a certain journey. And some people repeat the journeys all the time before they actually enter into the promised land.
Right.
You know, so as a Christian, you have to understand that you're going to go through a test if you want to experience your destiny, or if you want to, you know, have something, or there's something that you think belongs to you. In order for you to get that thing, there's a path you have to take.
Okay.
And that's the story, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now tell us about. I mean, I heard about the dog. I heard something about
The
crocodile.
The dog, the wolf, the lion, and the crocodile.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like I said, just listen. Like I said, I'm using King Saul and David.
Can I just ask? You know where in the book? I mean,
Yeah.
around where is it? So I just want to.
It's in the first chapter.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So tell us about it.
Okay. It's here, page 19.
Okay.
Page 19.
Food for thought.
Yeah, food for thought, page 19.
Okay.
The story is a wolf who came from his own town and
Yeah.
went into the town of the dog. You know, the wolf was wayward, wild, you know, on his own. You know, had no master, had no teacher, had nobody to, you know, walk with. And he came across this dog who was sitting in his house, humble, you know, chilling. And the dog asked him where was he going, and the wolf said, well, he had eaten all the animals in his town, so he was looking further afield, and he wanted to run the town. So the dog said, well, I mean, you can't just come into the town and run the town, because this is where I live. I have masters, you know, who look after me. You know, in order for you to run this town, you'll have to go and speak to them, because you can't just come into someone's town and run the town just anyhow.
Yeah,
It doesn't work like that. But the wolf, being proud and being pompous and being the wolf, said, no, you know what, you don't understand. I've come to run the town, you know. I'm going to run other towns. So the dog was like, well, okay, you know, if that's what you want to do, there's only one way to run this town. You have to defeat my master, you know. So the dog said, okay, go and speak to my master. The dog didn't tell him who the master was, because the dog don't forget, the dog was in his house, in his town. He was content.
Chilling.
So he told the dog to go and see the lion.
The dog told the
dog told the wolf to go and see the lion, but he didn't tell the wolf who the lion was. He wanted the wolf to find out for himself. So the wolf went to the lion and said, okay, you know what, I've come to defeat this town. And the lion kept laughing and said, well, you can't just come and, you know, run this town and defeat whatever. If you want food or if you want a place to stay, I can give you food and a place to stay. There's no problem, you know. And the wolf, you know, they didn't want to listen. He wanted to, you know, prove a point. I've come to do this and do that. So the lion said, okay, you know what, right? He decided he was going to trick the wolf. He said, okay, you know what, in order for you to defeat me and to run this town, there's one person or one animal that you have to defeat, and that's the crocodile. And this is where he is. So the lion showed the wolf where to go. And the wolf went to where the crocodile was. And, you know, crocodile lives in water and land at the same time. So he went to the river to look for the crocodile, and he came back to the lion and said, you know what, I think the crocodile must be scared of me, because when I went, he must have gone under the water. He's not there. But as he was talking to the lion, running his mouth, the crocodile sneaked up from behind him and attacked him.
Okay.
You know? So when the crocodile attacked the wolf fell on the ground. But then the lion rebuked the crocodile. And the crocodile went back into the river. So at that point, the lion said to the wolf, he said, you know, at this point, I could kill you. You've become very, very vulnerable. You know, running your mouth, you can't even defeat the crocodile. What makes you think you can defeat me?
A whole king of the jungle.
You see what I mean? And the crocodile, you know, hid himself because the lion rebuked it. So the crocodile, you know, went about his own business.
Yeah.
So now it was between the lion and the wolf. You see, at that point, the wolf became so vulnerable that even the smallest animal could have killed it. You see what I mean? But the lion said, you know what, I'll pity you. And the lion nursed the wolf and ordered other animals to take it back home to protect him. Because obviously, coming from his town, he has made so many enemies on the way. He has annoyed so many other animals on the way. So on his way back, being so vulnerable, you know, he had to be protected.
He needs bodyguards now.
He needs bodyguards. So the lion ordered other animals to protect the wolf and take him back. But the whole purpose was so that when he goes back to his town, you know, he will show them what has happened, so that they will also learn from his mistake and from his mistake as well. And on the way, he saw the dog again, and the dog said, you know what, at this point, I could destroy you, I could kill you. And the dog said, you know what, I used to be like you. You know,
the wolf or the dog?
The dog said to the wolf, he said, you know what, I used to be like you.
Okay.
I used to be pompous and running my mouth just like you. And I went into trouble. But then my master, who's the lion, so now the wolf knows that the master of the dog is actually the lion. You see? That's the trick. So the dog said, okay, now that you become vulnerable, I could have killed you, I could have come out and devour you, but I pity you because I used to be like you. But I actually wanted to give you a chance to learn for yourself. You know, I was just like you once before, but then when I came to this town and I met my master, who's the lion, who taught me many things, now he's giving me a place to stay, you know, a house to run, you know. So you too, when you go to your town, you can also have a story to tell the people there or the animals there to learn a lesson, not to run their mouth, to be humble. So the dog represents the modern day Christian, or the average Christian who has come from the world, has given their life to Christ, the lion, right? Now has come to the presence of God, is content, has no reason to go back out into the world, has nothing to prove, don't have to engage in fornication, or don't have to engage in stealing, don't have to engage in all these kind of things, because now I'm in Christ, I've got everything that I need. Why should I come out and be like you? You see? And the wolf it represents people in the world who come to Christians, to tempt Christians to go back out in the world to do things they're not supposed to do. And the wolf also represents Christians who think they are Christians, but they're not. They engage in fornication, they engage in...
The wolves in sheep's clothing.
Yeah, they engage in all these kind of things, and they actually entice good Christians to become like them. Oh, it's okay for you to do a little thing. You know, God is not going to mind. No. You see what I mean? So the dog, being a strong Christian, the humble Christian, said, no, I don't have to be like you. I was once like you. Why should I go back and become like you? I've learned my lesson. And in fact, I'd rather use my testimony to teach you to become like me. You see?
Okay.
So, yeah. So the lion, who represents Christ, you know, is the one who said, you know what, look, I've got plenty of food here if you want to. I've got a place for you to stay. But, you know, there are many people who come to Christ, and Christ said, you know what, I'll give you this, I'll give you that, you know, I'll be your God, you be my servant, whatever. And there's many people who reject Christ because they think Christ is not good for them. And as a result, what happens? They end up meeting the crocodile, who's the devil, who strikes them, who attacks them. And they become vulnerable, and in turn, what? They become like fools.
Wow. Did you? I mean, you wrote all of that.
Yeah.
Wow. That's. I mean, of course you did, but you know. Bright, thank you for. Are you still on the line?
Yes, I am. I'm on the line. Wow.
Thank
Amazing,
you for, bringing that out. I mean,
Yeah.
and asking that question.
I was so intrigued when I read it. I was like, wow, I've read
Yeah.
the whole book, but that's up there. No, I mean, you have to read it.
And it's
But
right at the
obviously
start of the
great
book as well.
Yeah.
Like, if you read
Yeah.
this at the start of the book,
Yeah.
you're going to
That's
carry on because it's
true.
great. Well done. Thank you. Thank you, Bright.
And speaking of it as well, like I was speaking about David and Saul, the dog represents David, and the wolf represents King Saul. So when you put them two together, the dog and the wolf, how they behave, you can tell why David passed the test and why King Saul failed the test. Because King Saul was like the wolf. His behavior, his character was like the wolf. He didn't want to listen. And as a result, he failed, and God took the kingdom from him. But David, being the dog, who was humble in the presence of God, he didn't want to sin against God. He didn't want to disobey God. He didn't want to be proud. And as a result of that, God gave him a kingdom, and God lifted him up. So as you read the book, you have a choice whether to be like the wolf or whether to be like the dog. And if you're like the wolf, I pray that when you read the book, you become like the dog and be under the master. And if you're like the dog, then glory be to God and remain like the dog. So you end up in heaven.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Bright.
Thank you. Good night. God
Good
bless.
night.
God
Take
bless you, sir.
care.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night, little one. Good evening to Boss Lady, who's also joined us. Good evening, Auntie Marilyn. Good evening, Yvonne. Hi, Danielle. How are you? Danielle said, "Glory be to God."
Amen.
And so Auntie Jane wants to know how people can get your book. You've said that you're publishing the Ark, the Flood and the Rainbow, right? So that's going to be available soon. So
the Ark, the Flood and the Rainbow is the first one that I published. That's already out.
Yeah, but it's sold out.
It's sold out, yeah. So
Yeah.
there's gonna be more printed. There's gonna be more printed. But the one that I'm working on now is part 2 of discipleship. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how can people get hold of it?
Well, they can go onto Amazon. They can go onto Amazon and click Isaac Benjamin Nyarko, or click on the titles of the books, and they'll come up. All the 3 books are there.
Okay, so I'll repeat the titles. Starting from the newest one, it's The Test
and the Victory.
and the Victory.
Yeah.
And then you have the
second
Art of
The Art of Servanthood, Discipleship.
that's part 1.
Part 1,
So
Discipleship.
also look out for the other parts.
Yep.
And the first one is the Ark,
The
the
Flood.
Flood and the Rainbow. Okay, wonderful. So they can go to Amazon.
They can go to Amazon and get it. They can also go onto Jesus Joy Publishing, JJP. They can get it on that website. That's actually the publisher's website. And they can also see the books of other authors as well.
Okay.
They can also go to Nelson Books. They can get my books from there. Or alternatively, they can also inbox me on Facebook, Isaac Benjamin Nyarko. They can inbox me if they want signed copies, personally signed copies. I can get it for them as well. But that may be a bit of a different method, because with Amazon or with Jesus Joy Publishing, it can be delivered to them to the address. But if they want me to sign it for them personally, that can be arranged. And see how it goes. But that's yeah.
All right. And so that's your Facebook. Are you on Instagram?
Yes, I'm on Instagram.
What's your handle?
My Instagram handle is Ike Ebenezer Revealed. It's all one word.
Okay. And are you on Twitter?
No, not on Twitter. I'm not a Twitter person.
I'm not the only person. Thank God.
I'm not a Twitter person. I'm afraid.
You're not on Twitter.
I don't have the time.
And you're even saying it wrong. It's Twitter.
Okay, Twitter.
Twitter, and the R has to be said.
Okay.
Okay, so Ebenezer.
Ike Ebenezer Revealed
on Instagram and Facebook
And
is
Facebook.
Isaac Benjamin
Nyako.
Nyako.
Yeah.
And no Twitter. Do you have a YouTube channel?
Not yet.
Not yet, but you will.
I will.
It's coming. It's
I will
coming.
soon, yeah.
It's coming. So okay. Thank you very much. I had like quite a lot of questions. I haven't answered most of it.
You can ask some of them.
I mean, I can, but I just feel like you've answered them through conversation. You've answered the majority of it.
Ask them again. Maybe I might elaborate on them. You know?
Okay, I've asked you about your inspiration. I've asked you about your feedback. I've asked you about who helped you in your journey. You've told us about the times that you wanted to give up, but you stuck to it and you didn't. Did you ever get writer's block in any of your books? Because I hear that a lot from, like, I follow quite a few authors, and it was like, oh yeah, during this time I got a writer's block and I don't know what was going on and all of that. Was there any point that you did get writer's block?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
But it was just flowing like that water, like that tap. It was just going. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. What do you like as a person? You right now you said you're doing your business, you're starting up again, you're writing, you're no longer a baby Christian.
Thank God for that.
Thank God for that. What do you want people to? What's the thing you want people to take away from you as a person? Like if you meet people, what is the thing that you want them to remember you for? And just overall, like as a person, as a writer, as a businessman, as a child of God, what do you want people to like remember you for, or just notice the most about you? What would you like them to?
Wow, that's
Not necessarily what they do, but, I mean, you can add that. What's the feedback people say
that's a good question
about you?
That's a very good question.
I can start you off. Like this is the second time that we've met, and the first time we met, I thought that you're a very nice person. You're very humble.
Thank you.
We'd never met, but the conversation was very nice, and
Thank you.
I know I can be a bit pushy with, come on the show, let's do this. I get really excited very easy, but you were like, okay, I'm just gonna stay with this flow, and so I really appreciate that you were very humble. So that's the start of it. What do you want people to remember you for?
Wow, it's a very good question, because I ask myself this question every day. Like wherever I go, how do I expect people to see me? And sometimes it may come across negative, but I think it's positive, because like especially at my workplace, for instance, because I told them about my books, I even gave them some of my books and stuff like that, and they were like, wow, we actually know an author, we actually know someone who's writing books, and the books are good. They're not like books to go and kill someone, or books to go and do this or whatever. They're actually books that helping people to become better people.
Inspire.
And one of the things that I would like people to, a few things I would like people to remember me by is like you mentioned, humility. I wasn't always a humble person. I've learned to be humble.
That's good.
I've learned to be humble. One day when I get the opportunity, I'll break it down for you. But I have learned to be humble through people that I met and through challenges that God took me through. Through things that I lost, through pain that I went through. And one of the things I want people to remember me by is my humility. I was raised to be the kind of person where be respectful to everybody, regardless of who that person is, because the thing is, you don't know everybody's destiny. That person you meet today, right? That person you meet today, you might see the person begging for money on the street, but you know what? In the next 2-3 years, that person could be your employer. He could be your boss. You never know.
Do you know what? It's so funny.
Yeah.
That you have said this.
Yeah.
And I don't know if my sister's listening.
Yeah.
There's something happened this weekend.
Yeah.
Where somebody I really admired just really made my way of thinking. It just turned 360.
Yeah.
Because for me, I feel like because the person thinks, they are so much higher above, so much. They're a big person, like they're big presence. And they did something that really shocked and surprised me as far as just how you relate to human beings and how, you know, no matter what, that you should respect people.
Yeah.
And you should, you know, because they always say the people you see as you're climbing up is the people you will see.
Yeah.
If, God forbid, you ever come down.
Well, if they're still there.
And if
Yeah.
they are, like, along the way there'll be a meeting, and then this person just totally shocked me to the point where my mouth was wide open, because it was a case of that's how I felt.
Yeah.
That, oh, you're nothing. I don't have 30 seconds to waste on you, kind of thing. And it wasn't even as spoken. It was just like, and it walked off,
Wow.
to something that could have had an answer. So that really, so for you to say that, that's,
Well,
that's,
you know, the thing is, right, this person who behaved to you that way, the thing is, you see, people go through things. People go through challenges every day. And maybe at that particular time, that person was going through something that they did not have time to speak to anybody. Even though it was you, maybe the person didn't even have time for you at that time.
I think it was just me, because the person did turn around and just kind of said hello to somebody and then went off. So
I'm still not going to judge. The reason why
No,
I'm saying that because you know, sometimes we do that as well, not knowing that we've done that to people. You see what I mean? Yeah.
no, I mean, it's true, but I mean, in this instance, if this person will never hear of this or whatever. But if they did ever turn around,
if they're watching, they know.
they're not watching.
Yeah, but I agree with what you're saying.
There's no way they can. Yeah, I mean, anyway, I'm not gonna go into that, but that's fine. I just thought it was interesting that you should say that. But carry on.
Me personally, you know,
Humble. You were humble. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, I believe in respecting everybody you meet, everybody, regardless of who that person is. I mean, people criticize me for respecting children, right? Sometimes I can sit next to a child and have a conversation with a child as if I'm talking to an adult.
It's some of the best conversations in the world.
People criticize me for that, but they don't realize I have best of my best lessons from children. You know, I learn a lot from children. Sometimes I can, you know, even sit down and have a conversation with a child, and I'm thinking, hang on, wow, this child has said something to me that, you know, an adult has never said to me before.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? At the same time, too, I can sit with an adult, have a conversation, and I can learn something. So, you know, in my personal life, I believe in respecting everybody, because everybody has something significant.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? Every human being on earth has something significant. It's up to you to tap into it. You see, Bill Gates is one of the richest men in the world. He can afford to pay everybody's bill in the whole world for like 10 years.
Imagine that.
Yeah. Never, but at the same time, right, if Bill Gates met you on the street and you said hello, he will say hello back. You got what I mean? He's not going to tell you, oh, you know what, don't talk to me because I'm Bill Gates. No, he'll never say that. The reason is because he came from a background where he knew what it was like. He understands what it's like. Now, Warren Buffett is someone that I also admire, because though he's so well off, he's so wealthy, so rich, right? He's very, very humble, very amicable person. You know, you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So go back to what I'm saying. You know, the reason why I'm respectful to people, because you never know who you never know who you meet. You never know who that person is going to become the next day. You know. And then one of the things as well that I want people to remember me of is my focus. I'm a very focused person.
Right.
I don't like nonsense.
Hey.
You know.
It's a good thing you're not a teacher with a
I'm
cane.
a teacher.
Oh. Sorry, kids. I'm joking.
Oh no,
I'm joking. I'm playing.
Not in that sense. I'm a very patient person.
I'm joking.
I'm a very patient person, but I think what I mean was I hate injustice.
Yeah.
I love justice. I don't like to see someone be bullied or be accused of something that the person not done. If I'm in your presence and I see that you're accusing someone, and you know the person has not done it, you know the person did not do it, the person was not even there, and you want to accuse that person for something they didn't do. You know,
Rightly, you should stand up for them.
Yeah, I stand up for that, because I know what it's like.
Yeah.
I know what it's like to be accused or to be to be alleged of something that I didn't do. I was not even there, and it's Isaac who did it. You know.
I feel like
And-
this is another show as well.
You know, and people don't know what it's like. You know, that is something that turns me into a different person. You'd be like, hang on, you're supposed to be a humble guy. Yeah, but I'm humble, but you know,
Not
there
a
are-
fool.
there are things that makes me makes me want to defend myself,
Okay.
and that's one of the things. Don't accuse me of something I've not done, and don't say I've done something that I've not done. You know, and at the same time, I wouldn't stand there and let someone accuse you of things that you've not done. It's something that I don't like. You know,
It's fair enough.
yeah, because I mean, it's quite dangerous to accuse someone of something they've not done, because it can actually end up very 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 devastating.
I mean, we've one thing
Yeah,
that's been in sort of in the news, and
Yeah.
certainly the movie, the
yeah,
Central Park,
yeah,
is it 4? Yeah, that were falsely accused of doing something. They were put in prison for
Yeah.
how long?
yeah.
Only to turn out actually they didn't
They didn't
even
even do
have
it.
anything to do with it. They
Look
were
at all the things
coerced.
that they've lost in their lifetime.
Yeah, they've
Serious.
lost their childhood,
You know? Yeah.
their family members. So of course, yes, injustice, and it's it happens
Yeah.
every single day.
Yeah.
Somewhere or the other is happening.
Yeah, you know.
So yeah, I understand. Okay, cool. So I've really enjoyed our interview.
Hope so.
Thank you very much. I did. Thank you for coming in. So are these books mine, or?
I'm gonna sign it for you.
Woo, I'm getting signed copies of the books. Guys, I'm going to read these and I'm going to review it. So give me a couple of weeks. I'm going to read it and I'm going to give you some feedback. And then I'm going to tell the readers. So guys,
Tell the whole world.
yeah, if you want to get these books for your friends, from your family, for your family members, I'm assuming your target audience is everybody, really.
Yeah.
If you breathe.
Yeah. Most of my books, when I write them, I sort of focus on unbelievers and Christians at the same time, because I
Okay.
want everybody to learn something, not just for Christians. I want everybody, whether you're a Muslim or Buddhist or Christian or a non-believer, or whether you're an archbishop or a full-blown Christian, whatever. I believe that when I write, there's something in my book for everybody. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
You're welcome.
So, you've heard it. You've heard a bit about the book. I'm sure there's a lot more to read. They're quite thick.
Yeah.
So get a copy. Do you know what the prices are on these books?
They're £8.
£8, that's cheap.
On the website, yeah. Yeah, £8.
That's pretty
yeah.
cheap.
Yeah.
So £8, guys. Get some knowledge, get some feel good, get some understanding. And if you do pick up the book, please let me know. We can read it together. We can discuss and talk about it. So yeah, the test and the victory, and also the art of servanthood, part 1, discipleship. And then there's of course the ark,
Ark, the flood, and
the
the rainbow.
flood, and the rainbow, which will be out again. It's been out, it's sold out. That's how good it was. So it'll be out again. So do get them. And you, like Isaac said before, you can contact him on Facebook at Ike Ebenezer.
No, that's Instagram.
Is that your Instagram?
Instagram is Ike Ebenezer Revealed.
And
Yeah.
Facebook is
Isaac
Isaac
Benjamin
Benjamin Nyako.
Yeah.
So yeah, or if you forget, you can
They can
contact
contact
me.
you.
Yeah, contact me. I'll charge a small commission, but it's fine. I'm joking. Just contact me. You can WhatsApp me, email me. Yeah, and thank you for joining. Before I go, if I have a guest that's coming in next week, and we're going to be talking about sickle cell.
Okay.
It's we're going to talk about this person, his soul brother 1. We're going to be talking about his music
Okay.
and also about sickle cell. He's an artist.
Okay.
I mean, his album is excellent. He's got a few out, but the latest one is like, I listen to it often, not just because he's my cousin. He's my little cousin, but he's not so little anymore. He's a grown man.
He's grown up.
He is a grown man. He's in
Yeah.
his 30s, but
Okay.
you know, you can never get rid of my little cousin. He's my little cousin, whatever happens. And I'm not just saying, like, his album is excellent. Actually, it's really good. So next week we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about sickle cell. I will send some information out, and I hope you can all join me with your input. I appreciate everybody that tuned in this morning and listened. Good evening, Nee. Tuned in. Nia Zoo all the way in America.
God bless him.
Yeah, to Auntie Jane, to Evangelist Bright, to Fritz, to Fitz also. I've got Fritz and Fitz. To my sister Sandra, to Nia Shufi, who's in Ghana, to Amma, also in Ghana, Marilyn. Thank you guys. Thank you, Yvonne. Thank you, Boss Lady, Danielle, everybody that tuned in this evening and just commented and had an input. To Akuba as well. She was my guest last week. I dragged her in, as I happen to do to everybody. Like, come on, you're coming. And, you know, I'm grateful that people do actually, they do come, actually. So, yeah, it's awesome. Thank you, everybody. Have a great week. Tomorrow, if you were in London, please carry a bottle of water with you. Carry a fan. I have a fan.
And some ice.
And some ice. Get a spray bottle. Because tomorrow is going to be the hottest day of the whole year. And, you know, we need to be hydrated. And we need to be safe. If you're getting on the tube, take some water. It's crazy. It's so hot.
I'll be working the whole day as well.
Oh, dear. I'll be working but till 6. And then I'll step out. And I'm going to enjoy that sun because I love the heat. So...
I wanted to say quickly.
Okay.
What
Yeah.
advice would you give to some of these young ladies? You know, they're using the weather as an excuse to, you know, dress anyhow.
Oh.
You know.
Oh.
Yeah. I think you should say something, you know, to them. I think you should say something.
I don't know if they'll listen, but okay. So I see a few things. So like yesterday, I
I
noticed
see a
that.
lot of things.
Yeah, I noticed that there were a few ladies who had obviously dresses are a bit thinner, not necessarily showing things, but I could see a lot of different coloured underwear. A couple of them had like one cheek stuck in, but their clothes were over it. So ladies, just let's beware of just like the thickness of what you're wearing, some shorts maybe. And I can't tell people how to dress, but there's a lot going on outside. I remember
Too much.
when I used to live in South London, and I would go and get, you know, my plantain in Peckham in the summer, and there were times where I'd actually just stand by the wall just to watch like what was going on. There was a lot of flesh. I mean, just guys, look in the mirror twice before we leave, and guys as well, and men as well, because I've seen some. It seems like this trend of showing the grey boxers, that's not very cute,
I hate that.
is back. So guys, also, I know it's hot, but let's pull up our pants. Let's use belts. If you don't have belt, use a rope. Ladies, a bra is your friend, and yeah.
Some don't even wear it.
Yeah, I've seen a few of those today. We need support. You know, a lot of us need support. So please support all parts of your body during this. Don't get dehydrated, but
Before we go
let's
quickly,
cover a little bit.
Before we go quickly,
I've said it.
Before we go quickly,
Quickly, yes, sure, go ahead.
it's just been laid on my heart to, you know, anybody out there who's watching, who has watched us.
Okay.
Maybe you're a Christian, or maybe you're not a Christian. If you're not a Christian and you want to give your life to Christ, you know, this is opportunity. We're going to take just 1 minute, and you know, if you want to give your life to Christ, the opportunity is there. Don't be afraid. Don't be shy. Don't think, oh, you know, people are going to laugh at you. Don't think your friends are going to look down on you. In fact, if they look down on you, they're not really your friends. You know, Christ has done a lot for me. I could sit here up to next week to tell you the things that God has done for me. And if you want to give your life to Christ, the opportunity is there. You know, call upon Him. He's there to answer. He's there to transform your life. It's not going to be easy. There are going to be challenges, but I assure you, when you give your life to Christ, you put your life, your mind in the hands of God. Trust me, your life will be transformed. And also those who are Christians but seem to be wayward or seem to backslide or seem to not be strong enough, there's also an opportunity for you to become the Christian that you aspire to be. You know, I'm always available on Facebook, Instagram. My Mr. was also here. I can also put you in contact with, you know, Brother Bright and other people. You know, don't be afraid, don't be shy, don't be discouraged. I have been through it. I know what it's like being a Christian and having all these temptations and having all these challenges and, you know, feeling like giving up, you know, going back into the world. It's happened to me before. I've been through it. I know what it's like. And you're not the only one. So if you're a Christian and you're struggling, you think you can't take it anymore, you think Christianity is a farce, you know, the opportunity is there for God to strengthen you, for God to empower you. He will never fail you, trust me. God bless you, and I hope we can see each other again. God bless you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, I think that's a pretty great ending to so guys, have a great week, and I'll see you next week, 8 o'clock. Yeah, have a wonderful week. Good night.
Tonight, hallelujah.
So guys, have a wonderful week.
All right, so this song
and
is my testimony.
I'll see you next week.
Can I share it with you
8
tonight?
o'clock.
All right, let's go.
Yeah, have a
I am who I am because of you. If it had not been for you, tell me where would I be? I was lost and sinking deep in sin, but you reached out your hand and rescued me. No one else can do the things you do. There's no one else but you. I am who I am because of you. If it had not been for you, tell me where would I be? I was lost and sinking deep in sin, but you reached out your hand and rescued me. No one else can do the things you do. Oh God, there's no one else but you. So I say this. Oh no, oh no, no one else but you. Oh no, oh no, no one else but you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Luigi McLean.
Never thought that you could love someone like me, to give up your life for me, yeah. You even go on and call me your very own. So grateful for your love. Yeah. No one can do the things you do for me.